What's going on, guys? So, if y'all didn't know, I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan, and an interesting interview came out with Nomura a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, with Game Informer. And I wanted to take a closer look at it because I think this interview not only tells the outlook for Kingdom Hearts 4 and we can expect, but I also think it's going to showcase what we can expect from Kingdom Hearts just in the future later on. So when you take a quick look at it, one of the questions they asked him is, do they think it's important to keep Zora as the main character? And to make a long story short, I'll put the article in the description so you can take a look at it. But he's basically saying, if Zora is not the main character, well, one, he thinks Zora is the only candidate for a main character. And if the game were to ever proceed without Zora as the main character, the number series will end. This would mean it will stop at wherever it is. There would be no more Kingdom Hearts 4, 5, 6. It would be something completely different if the game were to continue without Zora as the main character. That's how important he views Zora. But I think there's a little bit more to that and telling the future of Kingdom Hearts. You know, they talk about the hub world, and I think the hub world is the question about the hub world was very telling of what to expect. So he says they want to go for a more realistic approach, meaning it's going to feature some of his day-to-day life, almost like Persona. I see a lot of people comparing it to that. You know, in Persona you have the combat part, the dungeons, but then you also have your day-to-day life, going through making connections, talking to people, and that also impacts the gameplay. It seemed like that's going to be the case with Kingdom Hearts 4, where he talks about making it more realistic, which I think is kind of interesting. It's definitely new for Kingdom Hearts. He says he wants to make it more realistic as possible. So what I'm thinking this means is, like Persona, we're gonna not only have the Kingdom Hearts aspect, the cartoony, the Disney worlds, but it seems like he's going to incorporate more of Zora being a person and experiences in the real world. So maybe making new friends and things like that. But of course, this raises concern for the Disney worlds. And while he does say they'll be there, he kind of hints towards it being different. So I'm not sure what that means yet. He said they will be there, but different. But if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts, you'll most likely enjoy it. And what I think this is starting to show is Kingdom Hearts is coming into itself more. And I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean as I talk about this next point, which I think is, for some people might be big, for some people it's not. And it's basically with the lack of Final Fantasy characters. Now, Nomura is very aware that a lot of people were disappointed that a lot of Final Fantasy characters weren't in Kingdom Hearts 3. But he kind of has the explanation for that, and it's, to sum it up shortly, it's saying that when Kingdom Hearts first started, you know, there wasn't a lot of characters. Original characters at that, they relied heavily on the Disney characters to pull you in and, you know, bringing in the Final Fantasy characters. But as the game went on, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, he says they started to develop their own original characters that people actually come to love even more than he expected. I think he said in the interview, he didn't expect people to love the characters from like Birth by Sleep and stuff that much, and for them to become as big as they were. But to his surprise, they did. And now it's like we have these characters that people love. So trying to focus on the Disney characters, the original characters, and then the Final Fantasy characters, that would be a hard thing to try to balance. And that's one of the words to use, balance. And I think this is telling that he wants to make Kingdom Hearts more so its own thing. I don't think he wants to heavily rely upon the Final Fantasy characters. I really think the only reason he's probably even doing it is for the fans. But I think if he had like full like control over what he will want to do, I think he would just stick with the original characters. I mean, he built them up, people love them, and it's kind of be hard to try to force them into a story when it's not needed. Like you said, that we have our own characters now that people love, and I think this game is really trying to push the series into its own standalone thing, meaning it can't survive without the Disney things. Not saying that that's where they're going to go, but it's starting to seem like that. Like, I wonder what he means when he says Disney's going to be there, but different how. There are going to be Disney worlds. He said don't worry about that, but just thinking forward, I mean, there are only so many Disney worlds we can go to at this point. He seems like he's wanting to push away from the Final Fantasy characters. So I think this Kingdom Hearts 4 and going forward, I think we're going to see more of a Kingdom Hearts that can exist in its own universe. I think that's the end goal. I think he wants a Kingdom Hearts that's in its own universe. I think it was to put the focus more so on Zora than ever before. I think obviously Donald and Goofy will be there if we've seen him in a trailer, but this whole realistic thing is interesting. It kind of makes me think of where they're taking Final Fantasy. I mean, he did work on Final Fantasy before, so it kind of makes sense that it would go in that direction. So it seems like it's going there more realistic. He says he wants to focus on Zora day-to-day life and activity. That could mean many things. Like I said, the only thing I can think of at this moment is Persona. And he says you're going to be spending a lot of time in that hub world, Quadratum. So I think we're seeing a direction for Kingdom Hearts going into a more original thing. So I wonder if there are going to be worlds that aren't just Disney, but more original Kingdom Hearts content. I think that's the direction he wants to go in, and I'm down for it. I mean, it's cool to switch things up and evolve. Like I said, there's only so many interesting Disney worlds before that we could go to. So I think eventually this was going to come down to this. But I'm excited. Hopefully people are open to the idea of Zora and Kingdom Hearts franchise being more original ideas, more original characters. The previous games kind of built up to this, but now we're finally here. Like you said, we have more characters that are original that people really love. They're building this new hub world. So that new hub world, and since this will be the place where Zora travels, they said you're mainly going to be using a hub world to travel, and assuming that that's where you're going to be doing the day-to-day lives, you're going to spend a lot of time in this place. But to also make me think maybe there won't be even gummy ships anymore if we're using this as the hub world. But who knows? I don't know about all that yet, but that's just me theorizing. But I think it's interesting to think about. He also said there will be more details in The Missing Link, the game that's coming out on mobile. I wasn't too interested in the mobile game. This kind of got me interested because I think there'll be more hints as to what we can expect in that game. So I'm definitely gonna check it out, look at it. It also looks more like an actual Kingdom Hearts game versus the mobile game that was out. I'm definitely interested to check that out. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think we're really going to see Kingdom Hearts come into its own, be its own game that can stand alone without the Disney aspects. Not saying that there won't be any, but I think it'll be able to hold its own without that, and also without Final Fantasy characters. I think he wants Kingdom Hearts to be Kingdom Hearts. When you think of Kingdom Hearts, you think of all that is their original, like the original characters. Traverse Town, I think that's what he wants. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see what they do with the Kingdom Hearts franchise. And I'm excited to see where they take it. You know, he touched on the combat a little bit. I think they're trying to balance that out before. He talks about like when Kingdom Hearts 2 come out, people didn't like I believe it was the command attacks or whatever. But then he said when the other game came out, people were like, where is it? So it was just like confusion on his part. So he's trying to figure out how to balance that out with the combat. And I kind of had that issue with Kingdom Hearts 3. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 had a lot going on that it didn't need to where if they just like focused on a few of the combat aspects and made them really good, I think people would have liked it more. I think it had just too much going on. Me personally, I don't know. We'll have to see. But like I said, I'm very excited. We probably won't be getting any news for a minute, according to what this interview said. But like I said, keep looking at Missing Link, because when that game's come out, there's probably going to be a lot of hints as to what we're going to get story-wise for Kingdom Hearts 4. And I'm very excited to see where that goes. So with that being said, if you like this video, like it. Just like it. Leave a comment. Let's have a discussion. I'm curious to know what y'all think, and leave any information that maybe I didn't know. I'll be interested to see. And don't forget to subscribe for more. And peace.